I sounded so... I know you could hear the distress in my voice. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the penultimate part of Requiem for Innocence. You know, I said part 2 of Requiem for Innocence, like the second half of it, there would be no fun, and it's true. Let's start with a recap. Last time, Jacopo became the Lord, and the main thing that matters is, well, the main two things I would say that matter are, number one, he's still looking for Morgana, and number two, Gratien. Oh boy. Sorry, I have new neighbors and their kids are very loud, so I just heard that upstairs. I was like, oh no. Gratien attempted to assassinate Jacopo. And he's had flashes of the Lord, the previous Lord, in his head during that time. He's dealing with some really severe mental health stuff. I say that laughing, but like it's awful. And somebody wrote a very good essay on it, and I don't want to give it all away. But talking about how Jacopo basically deals like with schizoidal paranoia, or schizophrenia. It was very good. But now, he just got poisoned, so presumably he's still alive, obviously, because the rest of the story hasn't happened yet. We also got Jaren's backstory, and she was just a fucked up kid. Like, there's no way around saying that, and it's very sad. She didn't deserve that. It sucks. So, for today, you'll see in chat I have a pinned note. Please note that today will be very rough. Not only will there be flashing, and very like, how do I say this? Visually anxiety-inducing things. The way words work, like run together and all that kind of stuff. You'll know what I'm talking about when we get to it. But if you need to take a break and step away, I totally understand. I feel anxious already. There are some lines, those fast parts, that I won't read because I think it takes away from the impact, me concentrating on trying to voice act it. So if you're someone who normally has this on in the background, you're like, why this long period of silence? Maybe take a look at the screen because it might be doing something. So on that note, let's just get into it, eh? Oh boy. Okay. My fever seems to be receding. I can finally move again. It looks like I survived. Hey, is anyone there? Where are you, Odolan? Anyone? Lord Barnier, I'm so glad to see you're feeling well again. Thanks. We've all been worried sick. Lord Barnier? What? Oh, pardon, you just seem, not quite yourself. But after all that's happened, I suppose that shouldn't be a surprise. How long was I out? 3 days, sir. The poison kept you bedridden for 3 full days and nights. Not long, huh? And I've got a lot of work to catch up on. Yes, sir, but I implore you to take things easy for the next few days. When do I ever have time for that? Now, where's Odolan? I haven't seen him. Go fetch him for me. He is presently... Don't tell me he's not around. Where the hell did that old man get off to? No, he is here. Please, Lord Barnier, try to remain calm. Odilon was... Odilon! My lord, is that you? Thank heavens, you are well. Forget about me, what happened? My deepest apologies. I don't want an apology, I want you to tell me why this happened. Please, my lord, distress not over this simple old man. Why, Odilon? The Odilon I know would never deign to put himself in front of a gang of slum dwellers. Please, Lord Barnier, try to remain calm. Odilon was struck in the head with a stone and is in critical condition. The following day, that is the day after Gratian poisoned me, a dozen people from the slums showed up at the manor gates. They cried in angry protest against the Lord, demanding change. Evidently, Gratian hadn't kept a word of my deception to himself, so in addition to their other complaints, they shouted that I was a fake, that I wasn't actually nobility. They threatened to reveal my secret if I didn't do something about their living conditions. As the commotion dragged on through the day, people within the manor started getting restless. Eventually, it got to be so tense that Odilon stood near a window, told them they needed to cease immediately, and that if they wouldn't, they would be charged with lèse majesté. I don't know French. Which is when he was hit in the head with a rock and lost consciousness. God, you damn fool. I am quite pleased to see you have recovered enough to shout with such vigor. Now I needn't worry. Wait, slow down. Worry about what? Regrettably, it would seem, old age has bested me. I think the stone must have gotten my eyes, for I cannot see you there, my lord. I'm right here. Please don't give up on me. You're stronger than a stupid rock. Give it a few days and you'll be back to perfect health. And even if your sight doesn't come back, you can still do your job. I can tell you everything I see. Come on, Odilon. My sincerest apologies. Please! Why would you even go and try to talk them down yourself anyway? Whatever happened to acting only in your own benefit? What did you do? What did you have to gain from not having them executed on the spot? They were rioting in front of the Lord's manor. You had no reason to bother warning them. There was no question they were committing a serious offense. Why didn't you just do what you always would do? And then I would argue with you about it, like I always do. What the hell got into you, Odilon? I suppose I must have softened up somewhat. Excuse me. You cared so much about your friends in the slums, my lord, that I took pity on them. Old age seems to weaken more than just the body. How truly inconvenient. Odilon. Nevertheless, I am glad this old body held out until today. What are you? I would not have been able to pass on peacefully had I not seen you recovered from the poison, my lord. Stop it. Don't talk like that. I told you you're stronger than one damn rock. I'm your lord, damn it. My word is the law. 'Tis with great regret that I must defy my lord's command. Enough. I mean it. You stop this right now. Oh, my warnings against being swayed by your emotions remain unheeded, I see. And who the hell's fault do you think that is, huh? You are the Lord. The sooner you learn to control that blaze, the smoother your future endeavors will proceed. Do not allow your days to be cut short as well, in a moment's weakness. I implore you to always remain strong. Strong and never high of heart, so that none may drag you down With death upon me, my hands are shaking dreadfully. I didn't think anything scared you. It terrifies me to know I will be leaving you alone. Before I was able to teach you everything, I cannot bear knowing that I have forsaken you at but the onset of a great and perilous journey. There is so much more I have yet to pass on to you that you will need in order to become a great ruler. So much. Then don't go. Stay and teach me. You said you wanted to fulfill your duties as consul. That you didn't want to die until you accomplished something worthwhile. You can't tell me you're satisfied with this. Odilon. 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 Don't do this. You can't. Say something. Please say anything. Tell me it's all a cruel prank. Odilon! Lord Barnier. Odilon is dead. Make arrangements for a funeral. Yes, Lord. And what happened with the riot? They fled soon after striking Odilon. I would wager they returned to the city. Thank you. Would you like something done about them, Lord? I would. They need to understand that their actions have consequences. They slandered their lord and murdered his consul. We can't just let them walk away from that, now can we? Then we will have them all arrested and thrown in the dungeon. I said there would be consequences. If we just slap them on the wrists, they will come back and do it again. They'll mock me, condescend me, ridicule me, keep making a mess of my home. Tell me, do you feel safe serving a lord whose people neither respect nor fear him? Would you have any admiration for a leader like that? Have them executed. Since Odilon isn't here to advise it, I, Lord Barnier, officially order. Every spark of opposition is to be snuffed out. Find every last one of the rats and relieve them of their heads. And then put them on display in the city square. Make sure they know damn well exactly what awaits anyone who opposes Lord Barnier. Yes, Lord. Sorry for clipping. Trying to get the, you know. I feel like I'm always so loud. Give me a second here. Okay. Jacopo's also just kind of loud. He comes from a louder part of my body. Odilon's blood was on my hands. My inexperience and naivete got him killed. He had warned me again and again that my people had no love for me, but I ignored him, foolishly believing in friendship, letting Gratien into my house and ultimately getting Odilon murdered. My trust didn't belong with Gratien or my old slum companions. It belonged with Odilon. I should have realized so much sooner that he was the one and only person left I could trust. Men with whom I had spent years had likely participated in that riot. Men whose names I knew, whose faces I recognized, with whom I had spoken on countless occasions. But I felt not even a pang of regret in ordering their deaths. I didn't reminisce about the good old days. Those days were gone, irrelevant, meaningless. I felt no sympathy for the people they were leaving behind, nor did I so much as bat an eye when I saw their bodies lined up before me. Compassion bred weakness, made you vulnerable. I had to excise every last bit of it. It was the last thing I needed, for I was the Lord, Jean-Francois Barnier. Hey, look at all those heads. Supposedly they were beheaded for trying to assassinate the Lord. That seems like a lot of folks for an assassination attempt. You can say what happened up yonder.
Have you been down to the square today? I have. My heavens, I almost passed out at the sight of it. Why would those stupid thugs try to go after the Lord anyway? There's been whisperings around town. They say he was actually born in the slums and isn't a noble at all.
Wasn't that just his cover while he was hiding from the phony Barnier?
I certainly hope that's the case. But either way, it's probably best to keep quiet about the topic.
I'll say. I doubt he'll do anything as bad as the phony, but it still brings back bad memories.
And the things were getting to be so pleasant, too. What is this? Some kind of sick joke. Fucking Gratien's right at the very front. And the other guys I used to hang out with at the pub. Did you kill them all, Jacopo? You killed all your old friends? Why? What the hell, Jacopo? You would never hurt anyone. What the happened to you? You went through hell with these guys. How could you just fucking murder them? Have you really changed that much? You have, Jacopo. You've become a completely different man. No, you're long dead. You died in that goddamn revolution. The Jacopo I know no longer exists. All that's left is Lord Barnier. Everyone. They're all gone. You, Morgana, Jaren, Gratien. Every last one. What the fuck, man?
I appointed a new consul shortly after Odilon's death, but he was an ineffectual, short-sighted oaf. And to top it off, he had the tendency to simply nod and agree with anyone and everyone rather than express any opinions of his own. If anything, having him around made my job more difficult. But it wasn't as though there was anyone else competent enough to take the position, and relieving him so soon would come with its own crop of problems. So I ended up using him to shuffle papers and handle other menial work, while I took care of the actual decision-making. My first order of business was to establish clearly defined rules and punishments. Speaking ill of the Lord, spreading false rumors about his lineage, creating art of any form which could be interpreted as defamatory. These were all considered acts of lèse majesté, and in the most severe cases, were potentially punishable by death. I started seeing results almost immediately. The people stopped claiming I was a fake, and that I came from the slums. The Barnier name became a symbol of fear once again. My renovation efforts proceeded as originally planned. The city flourished as a commerce hub, attracting merchants and patrons and visitors from near and far. Some fields had to be removed as well to accommodate the expansion of the marketplace, but they were hardly producing anything worthwhile to begin with. If farmers wanted to keep farming, they were free to move elsewhere. I scaled down the size of the slums while scaling up security. Lacking leadership, what little remained of the peacekeeper group had turned into a gang of unruly thugs. So rather than keeping the peace, they had largely made things worse. In response, I forbade the formation of unauthorized organizations within the slums. And with all that in place, the city was much safer and more orderly, and the economy significantly stronger than it had been under my predecessor's rule. However, those unfortunate enough to miss riding the wave of economic growth found themselves falling even further behind their neighbors. The ravine between the poor and the wealthy had become nigh uncrossable. You fucking capitalist, what'd you think was gonna... My own manor was hardly a bastion of safety either. Not only was I rapidly enacting new policy, laws were stricter and punishments harsher than before. So many were, to put it lightly, more than a little displeased with me. I'd gone through several food tasters, and just as many direct assassination attempts. It wasn't particularly difficult to avoid major incidents by simply suspecting everyone, but I could seldom relax as a result. In time, I came to prefer solitude. Well, not so much prefer, as require it for my own safety. Odilon's death left me with more than just solitude, though. The phantom slipped free from my dreams, appearing from my shadow whenever I was alone, laughing endlessly. What did I tell you, boy? You're controlling them with fear, just as I did. It's a wonderful feeling, is it not? The look of terror on a man's face is the most exquisite thing in all the world. Silence, you. Stand by the window and listen. You can hear them all the way from the bottom of the hill, bemoaning the great and terrible Lord Barnier. Be quiet. And you know who their cries are about. It's not me any longer. It's you, boy. Shut up, goddammit. Don't fool yourself. You're no better than me. Enough! I said silent spirit. I am nothing like you. Is that so? Then tell me, boy, how do we differ? I don't hold those disgusting banquets, for one. Nor do I torture slaves for my own sick pleasure. By your command, hundreds of slaves are being worked so hard it will surely spell their deaths. How is that any different than murder or torture? Their deaths aren't meaningless. They're giving their lives for the good of this city. In your eyes, perhaps. But how many would take your side? You have no idea what you're talking about. If the people were truly satisfied with your rule, you wouldn't be holed up in this room all the time. You have no one you can open up to. No one to offer you companionship. What better proof of your tyrannical ways than your own isolation? Shut your damn mouth. You wretched man. How many times have you been betrayed? How have you found anyone you can trust after all your old friends proved you couldn't even count on them? For God's sake, quit babbling already. Solitude will be your constant companion for the rest of your days. And should you let your guard down even for a moment, know that 100 men lie in wait, ready to plunge their blades into your back. Your attendants dream of the day they can sneak poison past your taster. Shut up! Ah, you poor, pathetic child. How much misery and stress have you brought upon yourself because you let your dreams run amok, clawing your way up to a world much, much too big for you. Begone, damn you! My lord, I heard a huge crash. Lord, how many times do I have to tell you to stay out of my chambers? Forgive me, but I was afraid you might be in. I can take care of myself, damn it. Don't make me say it again. Yes, sir. To hell with you. We're nothing alike. I'm making their lives better, not worse. I am not a tyrant. Sounds like a tyrant. I started relying on alcohol to rid myself of the phantom. When I was drunk enough, I didn't have to see anything. I didn't dream. I didn't have nightmares. And most importantly, I didn't have to think. There were times I couldn't be sure whether I was in my right mind. There were times I was so panicked I wanted to scream my throat raw. But there was never a time I was safe showing that weakness. I knew from experience it would only put me at risk. I couldn't complain to anyone. I couldn't ask anyone for help. I couldn't believe in anyone. Odolan's dying words came back to me again and again. Stay strong and ever high of heart. What did it even mean to be high of heart, though? Certainly I had nothing to be proud of. Not having spent my early years in filthy, impoverished slum rat, not having spearheaded a violent revolution and stolen the throne, not this farce of a tale about me being secretly a noble. I hadn't been raised to be a lord. I hadn't been taught to have a proud, noble spirit. It was likely what Odolan had wanted to impart on me. The nature of a ruler. People automatically respect a man who is truly dignified and noble. They instinctively admire him, kneeling out of wholehearted honor. And that's what makes a true king. Not knowing the first thing about how to be that kind of man, I fell back on the only alternative that came to mind, forcing them to kneel beneath my iron fist. 2 years under Odolan's tutelage was nowhere near long enough to instill in me the natural nobility I needed. Thus I was left to be tormented by this accursed phantom whenever alone, and play the ruthless ruler elsewise. In my attempts to mask the fear lurking within, I grew louder and more ostentatiously contemptuous. Practically every other word out of my mouth was an insult. The old Jacopo was long gone, and Lord Barnier had crept in to take his place. It was gradual enough that I hardly realized it was happening. But now, all I saw in the mirror was the face of a cruel, wretched man. I even came to hate my old self. Think him foolish. What kind of vapid, nebulous dream was I one to go out into the world? What basis did I have for thinking myself any more significant than any other kid on the streets? And where the hell did I get the idea that having influence meant having freedom? I could barely even take care of myself. Where did I get off on thinking a little power would help me protect the people I care about? And what about now? What fundamentally did I even want now? What did I have to protect? Nothing. I was too far gone. There was no light to be found no matter how far I marched this path, and only a bottomless abyss waited at my back. I had left myself with nowhere to return to. Before I knew it, nearly 4 years had passed since the revolution. By then, not a soul dared defy my will. I was surrounded by people who supported my every decision. Few of them genuinely agreed with me on everything, obviously. But no one could deny how much growth I had brought about. So long as I continued to produce results, I would continue to have their outward support. As a trading hub, the city flourished. But the citizens were less than thrilled about the work I was doing. The poorest, especially, seemed to hold a great deal of enmity for me. But I was reaching the point where I couldn't manage on the support of the upper crust alone. Simply dumping sacks of coin into the streets wouldn't end poverty, though, and increasing taxes on imported goods would undermine everything I had built up. Lacking actual solution, all I could do was work to make them feel like they were better off than they actually were. Fortunately, it was much easier to pull the wool over the middle and lower classes' eyes than it was the better educated upper class. I started by building public recreational facilities, which citizens had priority access to. And then I turned my eyes toward religion. About a year earlier, as part of the city's expansion, a bridge was built across a river that served as the city's effective border. A church had still not been established in that new district, so I wanted to build one and gather a following. Conveniently enough, my predecessor had been in the process of building a second manor on the other side of the river, and with a little bit of work, it could easily be repurposed into a church. Once people started making use of the church, it would be simple to win their favor by making myself known as a generous patron. Faith was the ultimate blinder for the uneducated, and history showed time and again that religion could be a powerful tool in the right hands. But the high foreigner and merchant population in the city meant that no one particular religion had managed to take hold. The merchants especially tended to develop their own individual philosophies over the years, with few caring much for higher powers. That was a possible explanation for why the church had never had much sway in this region. There was, therefore, a chance the whole thing would just be a colossal waste of money. However, I'd recently caught wind of a curious rumor. There was a nun serving at a small church on the far edge of town, who people had come to refer to as the Saintess.
it? We picked some flowers for you. Take a look, they're so pretty. Oh, why thank you. They're beautiful. Ah! Get away from me! She actually fell for it. Hey now, how many times do I have to tell you it's not nice to trick people? You're too much fun to tease, Sister Marie. That's hardly an excuse. It's still wrong. I'm your big sister here, so you need to treat me like... Ah, there's a bug on your dress. What? No way! Where is it? Get it off! Someone get it off me! Just kidding, there's nothing there. Get fucked. Ah, get back here, you little rascals!
So her name's Marie. Not quite what I envisioned of the so-called saintess. She seeks out orphans to take into her care and offers food for the hungry, shelter for the homeless, and rest for the weary. And where exactly do the funds for that come from? She covers it all herself, supposedly. I highly doubt she has that kind of money just sitting around. Look at the building. It's practically falling apart. Wait a second. I get it. She makes use of all the church's resources to fund her charity. That is correct, my lord. Is she really so foolish as to not realize that's unsustainable? The locals are quite fond of her, but the same cannot be said of the priests and other nuns. Her work is causing them great financial stress. I'm not surprised. Shall I summon her? No, don't bother. I've seen more than enough. Yes, my lord. What? You have something to say? No, my lord. I simply find it curious you would take the time to come all the way out here when you have far more important work to attend to. Not that I would ever imply your judgment as anything other than impeccable, my lord. I just thought this saintess might be someone I knew. Pardon? But I was mistaken. They don't call her the saintess because she does God's work. They just call her that because she's a damn goody two-shoes. So much for words having actual meaning. Christ. He's got some balls to just take the Lord's name in vain in church property. I've done it before too, but it's very funny. That was in the 21st century. This is the 10th century. I see. Lord Barnier? It's nothing. I'm heading back now. Yes, sir.
Marie, the giant man's here. Come on now, be polite.
Good day, Marie.
Hi.
Oh! Twirls hair. The kids seem to be doing quite well.
Oh, you have no idea. So well, in fact, that this little hooligan found himself a whole handful of bugs. And goodness, he about scared me out of my skin.
A little mischief is a good thing. Their smiles wouldn't be half as bright at any other orphanage.
I'm not so sure about that.
In any case, here's what I earned this week.
No, I keep telling you that's not necessary.
But you do accept tithes, no?
Yes, but still.
I know it's hardly enough to cover what you need, but please.
No, that's not what I mean. It's your money. You should use it for yourself.
I have nothing to use it on. You'll put it to much better use than I ever could.
All right. Thank you. But try not to work yourself too hard, okay?
I promise.
Goodness, you really do make a lot in a week. I didn't realize carpentry paid so well.
Indeed. I'm fortunate enough to have found good work.
Maybe I'll leave the church and take up carpentry myself. Just kidding.
You kid, but you would do quite well for yourself. You're strong enough to carry me, at least.
That took every last bit of strength I had!
Who is that man? Even with all the foreigners we get here, I've never seen anyone who looks like that. He is a frequent visitor to this church, though he does not appear to come for the charity. An Oriental, perhaps? Oriental? My former consul told me of them once. Vagrants from the Far East who supposedly look much like that man. How curious. He may be able to fool the nun, but I know damn well no carpenter in the world makes that much in a week. There's something fishy about him. Look into that man. Tell me anything you find out about him. Yes, Lord Barnier. Now I'm heading back. In addition to the renovations for the church and gathering intel on the Far Eastern man, I made sure to keep an eye out for any unusual rumors or happenings outside the city's borders. Of all the reports I received, the one that caught my attention was the word of a witch who lived by a lake. This lakeside witch supposedly had miraculous powers, allowing her to cure any ailment, and the effect was transmitted through her blood. This wasn't the first time I had heard of the witch, an elderly woman who prepared and sold medicinal herbs, but I hadn't realized she also traded in miracles. It sounded like a bunch of snake oil to me, but she had allegedly cured a deathly ill young girl and started to make quite a name for herself. But on top of that, they also said the sound of the witch's first cry had ended a years-long drought in the village where she was born. This doesn't bode well. Why not, my lord? Try using your damn head once in a while, would you? Two competing denominations forming so close together. You don't see how that could lead to all sorts of headaches? The objective is to unify the people under a single banner, to which I then pledge my support and earn their favor, but that all becomes moot if their faith turns toward this witch. The people do love their heroes and miracles, after all. It is quite an attractive proposition, I must say. I'm mocking them, you buffoon. I beg your pardon. The chances of it growing to something actually worth worrying about are slim, but better to snuff the flame out before it spreads than sit back and hope that it burns itself out. Shall I deliver an order for her to cease operation, then? That would be best. Actually, no. I'll deal with this personally. You just keep your mouth shut and do exactly as you're ordered. Nothing more, nothing less. Understood? Yes, Lord. To start, summon the man from the church. A few days later, I was standing face to face with the man in my audience room. He seemed much less personable in person than when I had seen him with the nun. Stone-faced, cold, and faintly smelled of blood. Not that I could actually smell blood, but there was an animalistic air emanating from him. That much I had expected, though. I knew before summoning him that he was anything but a respectable man. I take it you're the Oriental man who's been seen buzzing around the local church of late? That would be me, yes. What of it? Who do you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some damn respect. Apologies. I'm not very familiar with the local customs or language. Very well, then. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. I forgot how much it seems like they're flirting in this. I forgot. It's so... Tsundere and yandere. Now, for the reason I called you here. You're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So you know about that. Ha! I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have confirmation. Since then, one slave of Far Eastern origin has remained unaccounted for. I take it that would be you. That's right. You made one hell of a mess out there. Am I here to be punished? That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself. I don't need any more damn slaves, and I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business of getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bastard. Correct. Isn't it comical, then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog? I absolutely agree. I thought that would get a reaction out of you. It seems you got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with the little something I'm working on. Help you with what, exactly? Something that's going to make me a lot of money. And if you lend a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of, along with the church you're so fond of, and the nun you've taken a liking to. That nun of yours has made quite the name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that. She is. Excuse you, seagulls. Oh no, that was a crow. The birds here are very loud. The commoners love their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you can't simply create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial troubles for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control to do as she wishes. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What would you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps. You really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like conversations that overstay their welcome. Fair enough. Then let's get to business. Not far from here lives a witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, the nun would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know how to listen, dog. We'll be turning the blood into a miracle elixir, which she will then distribute to the patrons of the church. In exchange for tithes, of course. Selling it, then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if that's how you want to think of it, by all means. The commoner's beloved saintess, handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine. They'll lap it up. Then in turn, you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll be a boon to the city's economy as well. Single witch's freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. So what'll it be? Will you help, or will I have to... I'll help. I have no reason not to. Decisive and a good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured the witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up in there, to ensure we have a constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume you to understand how a killer's mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you are wasted, it seems. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're all any different. I assure you, I have a conscience. She's just quiet right now. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't necessary for the growth of the city. No, I mean you're as much a murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. The man's right. You're nothing but a murderer. How deep has the blood seeped into your hands? How many have you killed claiming their lives necessary sacrifices? And how many more will die for your ambition? Silent spirit. That poor, poor witch. blessed with the power to perform miracles only to win her the attention of the villainous lord. It must be done. I don't have time to explain myself to you. It's not like the old hag has long to live anyway. What the hell is villainous about having her spend her final days for the greater good of the city? So many lives will be improved at the cost of only one. You keep telling yourself that, boy. But what you are doing is no different than my banquets. You're cut from the same cloth as the man standing before you. And the same cloth as me. Begone, phantom. Watch your mouth, dog. Don't you dare insinuate I would ever condescend to your level. But he would. I feel like that's worth noting. Just a little bit. Damn it. That's the first time he's shown up with someone else around. At least you behaved yourself today. I'm pretty sure you're smarter than most people I deal with. You won't betray me either. Who knows how much longer he'll live, though. Stay. Don't touch it until I say so. Oh, quit pouting at me like that. You're the Lord's dog. Stand tall and proud. Alright, here you are. Drink up. Looks like it's safe. I swear, so much work just to get myself a damn drink of water. When I heard about the Saintess, I thought it might be you. But it was someone else. I never did get around to resuming the search after Odilon passed. There's no one around I can trust with such a sensitive task. Though it's probably for the best if I never do find you. We can't go back to the way we were before. Not that there's much chance you're even still alive. If, by some strange chance, you are still alive, what would you think of the man I've become? Several days later than originally planned, the Far Eastern man finally arrived at the mansion. I had arranged to meet with him on the uppermost level of the observation tower on the church grounds. Oh boy. It's fine. About time. The man appeared before me, a burlap sack slung over his shoulder. I had ordered he use the sack, afraid he might be foolish enough to actually drag the old woman all the way here. There's your witch. He threw the bag to the ground, causing the woman inside to let out a muffled grunt. It didn't sound like an elderly woman's voice, though. This stench. Tell me you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood. You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made. Limbs were lost. It's still so funny. I hate that he says that. Damn it. I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. He's even further gone than I imagined. I should have been clearer in my instructions. Though I suppose it doesn't matter much. She's not going to live long either way. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have killed before, haven't you? Enough yapping. She is alive, yes? Of course. Finding back a sigh, I tossed my gaze from the man to the bag. I felt slightly sorry for the woman, but the feeling didn't last long. I had seen too many bloodied, mangled bodies, both dead and alive, to be fazed by one more. He crouched down to untie the bag. And a young girl came tumbling free. It can't be. As soon as I saw her, I knew exactly who the girl was. It had been 4 years, but no length of time could wipe from my memory those patches on her face, or those breathtaking golden eyes. But why? How? What was she doing inside the bag? Why had I ordered her captured? How could I have done that? Morgana. She was pale as death, shaking visibly. Confusion seized me, a cloud of swirling darkness forming before my eyes. The first thought that came to mind was that he had gotten the wrong person. I had only ordered her captured because I thought the witch by the lake was an old woman. If I had known she was a young girl, let alone her, I would have never given the command. But those thoughts led nowhere. I was simply trying to avoid facing reality, trying to place the blame on anyone but myself. I couldn't take back what had already been done. I couldn't change it. There she was, the girl who had once won my affection, lying in a ball on the cold stone with an arm missing. It didn't matter how we had gotten here, or what I had felt about her. There was no fixing what I had done. She looked up at me, the source of the muttering above her. Her eyes were opened almost frighteningly wide, and they wandered aimlessly, unfocused to the point I wasn't sure she was seeing anything at all. I felt a tinge of madness in her.
Is that you?
The words spilled from her lips, so soft they barely reached my ears. Hardly a trace of the beautiful singing voice from my memory remained. It was hoarse and raspy, every sound seemingly laced with an unfathomably deep, pitch-black hatred for all existence. You remember me? Would she even be able to recognize me anymore?
How could I ever forget?
Morgana. She remembered me. The days we spent together. What kind of person I had been. The boy had refused to give up putting ointment on her face. All our friends. Those horribly unromantic encounters at the graveyard. Her taking shots at me. Me taking shots at her. Did she really remember? All the time we had shared.
How could I ever forget? All the pain and humiliation you put me through.
What?
How could I ever forget the blood sabbaths you so loved to hold?
What? What was she talking about?
Haven't had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you? You haven't had your fill of my blood?
I couldn't even begin to process the words I was hearing. They were little more than angry, meaningless shouts crashing into me. What the hell was she saying? Did she think I was someone else? Did she think I was him? That I was Barnier? No, Morgana. That wasn't me. I wasn't the man who had caused you so much agony. Look at the girl. You would claim you hadn't caused her pain.
You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you even for a moment.
No, I was the one who rescued you from him. I wanted to shout, but I couldn't gather the strength to force up a single word. Only gasps of air came from my lips. It was like I'd been robbed of my voice.
I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you with every fiber of my being. For every scar you gave me, I give you a lifetime of hatred.
No, Morgana. When I finally managed to produce a sound, It was barely more than audible than a whisper. In a frenzy, I made to reach out for her, when I noticed the pair of narrow eyes glaring at me. I was not aware you knew the witch, Lord.
Huh? Know her? I don't just know her. She's Morgana. She's the girl This man, the Lord, he destroyed me, mind and body.
No. She's not wrong. That was another man. You have become that man to her.
I am not Barnier.
Do you hear yourself, boy? You are the rightful heir to the Barnier name, are you not? That's what you said when you stole the throne from me.
This man ruined my life.
How will you respond, boy? Will you say it wasn't you? Can you say it wasn't you? How will you convince her? She's clearly not in her right mind. Would she even understand it if you revealed the truth? Can you do that, knowing it won't make it through to her? Will you tell her you're nothing more than a slum rat, a usurper? That you deceived your way into power? That everything you built up over these years was all a lie? That you killed your former friends for nothing? That Odilon died for nothing? That you endured betrayal after betrayal for nothing? Do you have the spine to say it, boy? All the sacrifices you made, all the pain you suffered to make it here, could all come crumbling down the moment you do. What will it be, false lord? Is the girl worth it? Is sharing the truth with this half-dead girl on the brink of madness worth losing everything you worked so hard to accomplish? Make your choice. What's the matter, Lord?
Yes, I know her. Or I knew her. Years ago.
I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick.
What do I want to do? Obviously. Why? On Earth. This doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned. Did I make this choice?
Congratulations, boy. Thus concludes your inheritance of the name Lord Barnier.
"4 years earlier. Oh boy. Oh, come on with the song, with the music. It's fine. It wasn't until I lost everything that I truly understood just how blessed I had been. How much my time with all of them had allayed my wounded spirit, and how hard they had worked to mold me into an ordinary girl. But that was all gone now. I may not have said as much, but I liked it there. I was quite fond of the tranquility. I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to be happy as much as anyone else. I'd long lost track of how far I'd walked. My legs were stiff and my knees didn't want to bend anymore. It took all my effort to remain upright, and I was certain I would never get back up if I did fall down. I still couldn't wrap my mind around what had happened. It was all so sudden, all so horribly senseless. It was so mind-bogglingly horrendous. Part of me refused to believe it was anything more than a bad dream. And that was what kept me walking. Because if I did accept it as reality, I would lose what remained of my will to live. It was supposed to be a party. The girls got together to celebrate my birthday, making food and treats that, while hardly extravagant, were still a significant improvement over what we usually had. Everyone was laughing. Part of me was irritated by the whole affair, as I had never been comfortable in such lively environments. It was also lovely. They were celebrating me, my birthday. I should have been overjoyed. Maybe this was my punishment for being so unappreciative. As soon as I stepped out, bandits raided the brothel. Had I stayed there but a few minutes longer, things likely would have turned out quite differently. Whether for better or worse, I couldn't begin to guess, but at the very least, I probably wouldn't be here, alone. I could have gone with them to the next life. During the raid, a man grabbed me, and I lost consciousness almost immediately after. When I awoke, I was in a foul-smelling carriage. People were packed into the carriage like livestock. There were dozens of them, every inch of usable space filled with a body. Looking out across the cramped space, I knew instinctively I was on my way to becoming a slave. Once, I had been sold off as a saint, a highly valuable commodity. But this time around, I was cheap, expendable labor. It was filled with an overwhelming emptiness as the realization struck. Something resembling sorrow wavered about in the void as well. But it wasn't a sadness for my own predicament. It broke my heart, knowing I would never see them again. That everyone I had to thank for all those warm, peaceful days had either been killed or were sold off. In time, the sadness swelled to form tears in my eyes. My whole life, I had managed to endure without crying. And the first time I did, I shed tears for someone else. The man sitting next to me asked, "Why are you crying?" To which I answered, "I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me." But if that had been the end of our conversation, I wouldn't be here, hobbling down this endless road alone. I wouldn't be covered in so much blood. Sometime after I had responded, the man suddenly stood up and murdered the guards and slave traders. At first, the other slaves thought they were saved. For a moment, I believed so too. He was a very curious-looking man. His eyes smaller and narrower than ours, his nose a different shape. I had never seen anyone who looked like him before. All I knew was that he wasn't from around here. The man, wielding a sword stolen from a guard, searched through the slave trader's clothes for the keys to our shackles, which he gave to me and made me free his hands, before proceeding to kill the slaves. I stood aghast against the massacre as the massacre unfolded before me. Blood pooled at my feet. Severed limbs were strewn about the carriage. Bodies piled up haphazardly, many having only had enough time for their eyes to go wide in shock before being cut down. Men, women, children, everyone equals at the end of his blade. The strange-looking man laughed as he slaughtered the slaves. He laughed and he laughed, like he was having the time of his life. And when he was done, he stepped out of the carriage and wandered off, leaving me alone, the sole survivor. I'd witnessed so much death in so short a time. Cruel, meaningless violence. Its victims powerless to resist. And here I stood among the bodies left alive. For some inexplicable reason, left alive. The screams, the despair, the pleas, the death, the laughter, all reverberating inside my head. Oh, Father, who art in heaven, please give me your mercy. I cannot take it anymore. I pray, free me from this pain. My spirit was about at its breaking point. I was certain that I too would sink to the bottomless abyss if I kept all these emotions inside me much longer. I walked, and I walked and walked and walked. No food, no water. My exhaustion at its peak, my mind in a complete haze. When, off in the distance, I caught sight of a lake. So thirsty. Water. I began hobbling in the general direction of the lake, not caring that it took me off the main road. Bandits could have assailed me. Wild animals made me their prey. None of that mattered to me anymore. At least then I wouldn't have to walk anymore. But for better or worse, I made it to the lake unmolested. The water was clear as crystal and seemed to sparkle like one as well. As soon as it was within my reach, I dropped to my knees and drank, my thirst seemingly insatiable. The blood covering me had dried several days earlier, but its bitter stench lingered. So after a brief glance around my surroundings, I washed myself. The chill of the midwinter lake water, an occasional gust of wind pierced me to my very bones. No one in their right mind would bathe in this weather. But common sense and the chattering of my teeth didn't stop me. I wanted only to be clean again, and the frigid water felt like it would strip everything away, leaving my body and spirit new and unsullied. Once I was satisfied, I came to the belated realization that a small cottage sat on the lakeside. There's smoke coming from the chimney. Maybe there's someone inside. It could be someone bad, though. Maybe it would be safer to stay away. But who knows when I might find someone else? Excuse me, is anyone there? Hello? The door's unlocked. It was so warm inside. The heat from the fire seeped into my chilled flesh, spreading slowly. I almost burst into tears again. Sitting before the fireplace was an old woman. A cauldron hung above the flames, bubbling with a curious colored liquid. Ma'am? The woman merely sat there, her head drooped. Slowly I approached her, half certain of what I would find, and placed my hand on her shoulder. She was dead, and I hardly so much as batted an eye at the sight of yet another corpse. In fact, she looked like she had passed quite peacefully by comparison. How blessed she was! There was no sign bandits had been rooting through the cottage. Presumably, she had fallen asleep and passed away naturally while in the middle of concocting something. Looking around the room, I found myself surrounded by countless items I couldn't begin to identify. Plants of all colors hanging from the ceiling to dry. Berries crushed and stored in small glass bottles. Were I to guess, the old woman made her living off herbal medicines. Having gotten a good look around the room, I thought that perhaps I had been guided here. And if my father had led me to this place, he would not frown upon me for doing what was necessary to make use of it. So I dragged the old woman's corpse from the cottage and pushed it into the lake. If it didn't take up residence in the cottage, someone else eventually would. If I didn't take up... Whatever, I know how to read, shut up. God, I do so much reading for grad school that reading is like... anything but textbooks is like, whoa! Whiplash! Or it would just be left to deteriorate. And I would rather take the opportunity bestowed upon me to have a place to rest my weary soul. As the woman's body sank into the clear lake, a realization struck me. I hadn't crossed myself. A few days after I moved into the cottage, a man came to the door. Apparently, he had been a customer of the woman's, a witch by trade, and he was looking for more medicine. When I spoke to him through the door, he gave a short gasp and said,
Who are you? Where's the witch?
I am her granddaughter. She is not presently home.
Huh. Never knew the old lady had kids. So when's she gonna be back?
Not for some time.
Well, damn. You know much about herbs, girl?
What?
As long as I can get my medicine, I don't really care who supplies it. You, her, doesn't matter. I'll still play.
One moment, please. My knowledge of herbology was essentially non-existent, but if there was a possibility I could make a living off it, there was no reason for me not to try. I asked the man to give me as much information about the herbs he had been receiving, color, texture, smell, anything, and rummaged about until I found something that fit the description. The entire exchange occurred through the barely cracked door. The man paid me as promised, but I quickly realized that money wasn't of much use to me, as I had no intention of returning to the city. So I told him that in the future I would trade for supplies, which he happily agreed to. A few days later, another man called upon the cottage. But unlike the first man, he sounded crude and uncivilized. I didn't want to cut off a potential source of supplies, though, so I handed him the medicine he requested. But when I did, he let out a low snicker and said,
What do you say I look after you, girlie?
He then shoved his hand in through the crack in the door and grabbed my wrist.
You ain't fooling me. The hag's dead and it's just you, ain't it? Little girl like you needs someone to look after her. Make sure no bad men threaten you.
Every word that came from his mouth oozed with sleaze. I knew what would happen if he got the door open. Let go!
Whoa.
I yanked my arm back with all my strength, slammed the door shut, and set the bar. But even that wasn't enough to quell my uneasiness, so I put a chair against it as well. The man pounded on the door, each slam of his fist causing the whole room to vibrate.
Overreact much, huh, girlie? Come on, open up. I still ain't paid you yet. Bought something real nice, too. Open up. I want you to have it.
I don't need your payment. I'm never doing business with you again, so please get off my property.
Want to say that again? You got a lot of nerve, eh, you little bitch? Open up the damn door. You don't want to know what'll happen if you don't. You got more for sale than just bags of leaves, don't you? Open the fucking door.
Just stay quiet, Morgana. The best way to handle people like him is just not to respond.
Good for nothing, you. One day you'll learn your lesson. This world will eat a little girlie like you right up.
After giving the door one final parting kick, the man stormed off, loudly grumbling about how stupid and ungrateful I was all the while. I didn't deserve a word of his cursing. But at the same time, I couldn't bring myself to be upset about it. He was right. The world would not be so kind to a young girl living on her own. Not as long as men like him roamed free. I'll kill him.
Fuck him up.
I paced before the fireplace, my mind racing. I can't be sure I'm safe anywhere. Not even here. But going back to the city isn't an option. Not while the Lord lives to keep throwing his blood sabbats. Everyone who might have protected me is gone. I have to make it on my own now. I'll have to be very careful about opening the door. I could be attacked again, or worse. I mean, most men would probably run as soon as they saw my face. But most doesn't mean all. There are some out there who will go after anyone. I can't let my guard down while I'm doing business, not even for a second. Man or woman, everyone is a potential threat. I'll make it on my own. I don't need anyone else. Me, and only me. Being out here has really shown me how sheltered I was at the brothel. How kind everyone was. How peaceful my life was. Just want to go back. No, stop it, Morgana. You're stronger than that.
Oh, sorry. I gotta adjust sitting posture. I'm old. I'm old.
Ugh. I put enough wood on the fire for it to last the whole night, then curled up into a ball and slept beside it. For the first time in my life, solitude frightened me.
Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna just... Birds. These bird sounds are better than the Ace Attorney bird sounds. They're actual birds. Morgana. What, were you planning to sleep all day? Come on, you're not Jern.
Huh?
About time. Good morning. Well, little of it remains, anyway. What's with that look? Still waking up?
What are you doing here?
Excuse me? Why would I not be here?
That doesn't answer my question. How did you even...
A little bird told me where to find you.
So you survived?
Do I look dead to you?
No, but still, I thought you were killed during the raid.
I may not be as good with a sword as someone, but you know I'm no pushover. I wasn't going to let a bunch of bandits get the best of me. What, were you worried? Seriously? And here I thought all you knew how to do was damn me to the fires of hell.
Was I worried? Of course I was, you oblivious dolt! I never actually meant it when I said you should be cast into hell. Of course I want to see you alive. Of course, it would hurt me to lose you.
I'm sorry. That was callous of me.
I was afraid I would never see you again. I thought I had lost everything. Everyone! I was scared to death.
Whoa, no need to cry. You're tougher than that.
I'm not crying.
If you say so.
What do you mean, I'm tougher than that? What do you think I am, made of stone? First you try to pretend I'm a normal girl, and now you act like I'm some kind of heartless creature. Make up your mind already!
I'm sorry, really. You're a perfectly ordinary girl, Morgana.
Can you say that looking at my face?
I'm looking at it right now.
Even though I'm a mean-spirited, bitter little girl?
Even though you're a mean-spirited, bitter little girl. Though it's nice to see you acknowledge it.
I'll burn in hell. Say, I want to ask you something. And I want you to not call me weak for it this time.
Let's hear it.
Will you stay with me? I don't want to be alone anymore. It terrifies me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll stay right here. Forever.
You know you won't be able to accomplish your dreams out here, right? And you're fine with that?
You bet. You told me to stay, and stay I will. We live right on a lake. There's some mountains nearby. All things considered, it's not a bad location. We can plant some crops, go fishing in the lake, sprawl out on the grass under the starry sky. Sounds like a pretty good life to me. Maybe sometimes you could sing a little song. and I'll sit there listening quietly. Or if you want some accompaniment, I can procure some instruments. That sounds nice to you as it does to me. Nothing? Seriously? What else could you want? How about...
Oh, no. That's more than enough. Yes, if I could have a life like that, it will have made every misfortune in my life worth the suffering.
I hate it here. Genuinely, life is pain. This might as well be alcohol. It's water, but it might as well be a strong drink. God. A strong drink that I spilled on my leggy.
He's not here. It was a dream. What else could it have been? He's dead. Just like everyone else. They all died in the raid. And even if he was alive, he wouldn't come looking for me. What a childish dream. Bite it, Morgana. You cannot cry over a simple dream. You are the daughter of God. Your tears are only to be shed for others, not yourself. Pounded my fists against the floor again and again and again, sobbing like a petulant child. I had never cried like this before. Not as I witnessed men, women, and children being slaughtered. Not when I was taken from my home. Not when I was chained up and tortured by the Lord. It wasn't until I realized just how much I needed that warmth, and that I would never have it again, that my spirit hit rock bottom. Finding and then losing happiness hurt worse than anything else. I wish I'd never known happiness. I wish no one had ever shown me kindness. Not if it means I have to go through this. I wish I had never known what it was like to be normal. I could have just stayed the daughter of God my whole life. And I wouldn't be feeling like this. I never knew crying like that was so exhausting. And I never want to experience it again. I want to go back to who I used to be, a saint. If I didn't know happiness, I wouldn't have to feel like this. I just have to forget it all. That part of my life, it never happened. No peace, no rest, only trials from my father. That is all I have ever known. It's not hard. Just don't think about those years. Then you won't have to cry like this ever again. It's for the best. It's my only choice. See, I was always right. I never was, and never will be normal. The only ones who will offer me salvation are God or one of his angels. And so, I did precisely that. I led a solitary life. I did all my business hidden behind the cottage door. And I sent away anyone who wasn't here for medicine. Once, a mounted man in armor rode up to the cottage. He looked like a knight, but I had no interest getting involved with anyone who went around carrying weapons. I was responsible for my own safety, so I had to be careful about who I opened my door to. I had to be extra careful about who I dealt with. But I didn't feel sad or lonely about it. By making that my normal, there was nothing to lament. Which meant old memories served no purpose but to cause me pain. So I endeavored to push them far, far away into the depths of my mind. I couldn't simply discard my memories of what the Lord had done to me, of course, or of all the wonderful people I had met at the brothel. But as time trekked on, they faded into almost nothing. I couldn't describe what any one person's voice sounded like, how they acted around me, what kind of person they were, the things we did together, what they looked like, what their name was, anything of importance. I knew good and well it was callous to forget about all the people who had shown me so much kindness and warmth. But I would never see them again, and thinking about them only brought me pain, so there was no point in remembering. It was all I could do to make it by.
Also, if you didn't realize, the person in the armor was probably somebody sent from Jacopo looking for her. I hate it here. This game sucks. It doesn't suck, it just is ouch. It just has a lot of feelings.
Nearly 4 years had passed since I had assumed the role of the Lakeside Witch. My 16th birthday was approaching, but my age was perhaps the only thing I had in common with an ordinary teenage girl. Although if I had grown up like any other girl, having spent my childhood as a saint before being held captive by the Lord and made to witness countless people's deaths, that would probably mean there was something deeply wrong with me. By that point, a terrible cynicism had taken root in my heart. I built high walls around myself, keeping my contact with the outside world as terse and pragmatic as possible. With each passing day, my voice grew more monotonous, my interactions following a well-rehearsed script. My customers didn't make any attempt to force their way into my shell either. I'd begun to suspect that they might not think me a witch by trade, but that I had actually formed a pact with the devil and worked his dark magic. No one said as much, but I could sense what seemed to be fear in their voices when they came to me. On the other hand, I never had anyone try to force themselves into the cottage like the man 4 years earlier, so I would say I had a rather peaceful life. If you considered a life in which no one wanted anything to do with you peaceful, that is. I had also come to learn a fair bit about herbology. I could now make my own medicines, rather than just making do with what was already here when I moved in. Although a fair bit still amounted to almost nothing when compared to what my predecessor was capable of. Nonetheless, I had a relatively solid grasp on what herbs to use to treat different symptoms. Enough to formally assume the name of the Lakeside Witch, at least. And so, time flowed on, uneventful and quiet, until one day, when a young man showed up at my door.
Oh boy. Excuse me, is anyone home?
I knew right away that he was a new customer. No one who had traded with me before bothered with such pleasantries anymore. They wanted the process to be quick and frictionless, and I preferred it that way as well. Who's there? When I responded from behind the door, he seemed to be taken aback. After several moments with no answer, I tensed up slightly and repeated the question.
My sister has fallen very ill, and she desperately needs medicine.
He has a very pretty voice.
I was told that the person who lives here is a skilled herbalist. Oh, herbalist, sorry, I'm British, I forgot. Could I please get something to treat her?
What are her symptoms?
She's got an extremely high fever that won't come down. She has no appetite, she's only drinking water, and she can't get out of bed.
Everyone always seems to be looking for medicine for themselves. I haven't had a customer like him in some time now. We're going to want to lower her fever first. After that, get her on a nutritious diet. I'm going to give you 2 medications. Give her the first while her fever's high, and the second after it's come down.
Thank you very much.
When was the last time someone thanked me? Here's your medicine. It's powdered, so mix it with some water and have your sister drink it.
Are you not going to open the door any wider?
Is that necessary?
No, sorry. Just a second, let me get you your money.
I take supplies for my services, not money.
Oh, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. This is all I have on me today. Would you maybe be willing to accept this as payment today?
Very well. Is that a gold coin? Those herbs aren't worth nearly this much. Just who is this man? And what on earth is he doing here, at a witch's cottage? In any other situation, I wouldn't have been tempted to look. What if he saw me? He would think me disgusting, ridicule me like everyone else. It didn't hurt knowing what people thought of me, but it was hardly pleasant hearing it vocalized either. And what if he decided to do something in that moment I dropped my guard? He could force the door open, have his way with me. He doesn't seem like that kind of man, though. Trust was about the farthest thing from my mind when interacting with people these days. I always remained on high alert, keeping a safe distance from everyone, no matter how good they appeared on the surface. But for some reason, I felt strangely comfortable in this young man's presence. At the time, I couldn't have explained why, but in retrospect, I imagine it was largely a result of his upbringing. He spoke in a clear, well-enunciated voice. He had a polite, friendly air about him, which I could feel even through the door. He wasn't the sort of well-mannered you could fake with a little bit of practice, nor the sort you encountered out in the middle of nowhere. Curiosity took hold of me. I had to know what he looked like. I wasn't going to throw the door open, of course, and I had no intention of inviting him in, either. I just wanted to get a little peek at him through the crack in the door. So I opened it ever so slightly wider than usual when I reached out to take his payment. Oh no, he saw me.
Wow, I didn't think you would be so young. Sorry, I'm gonna... Butt's honestly. Getting old. Ugh. I guess you were a little older.
What?
Thank you for doing business with me. And I'm sorry for not coming properly prepared. If I need any more, I'll be sure to bring supplies next time.
All right.
Again, I really appreciate it. Have a nice day.
You too. He saw my face, and he wasn't disgusted. He actually smiled. I was so caught off guard that I thought for a second that maybe my face had healed. So I ran over to the water basin, and, a glimmer of hope in my heart, gazed in at my reflection. But the face looking back at me was the same as always, a grotesque, unsightly, patchy mess. Part of me was disappointed, but more than anything I was flabbergasted by what had just happened. How could he smile at the sight of this face? For a split second, my mind slipped back in time 4 years. The man who had applied ointment to my face, he had never seemed disturbed by my appearance either. Not long afterward, the young man called upon my cottage again. He said that the medicine had briefly relieved his sister's symptoms, but that it had failed to actually cure what ailed her. Herbal medicine required patience and persistence before its effects manifested, I informed him, to which he responded with a sad smile. He was a handsome young man, not far from what I imagined from his voice, and the smile suited him quite well. There was a distinct elegance emanating from him.
Elegant? We talking about the same She's too nice to him. He is not elegant. I guess he looks elegant, like physically. He's got the prince look, but he is not an elegant person.
Ragged clothes aside, he was about how I envisioned a fairy tale prince might look. Though I knew quite well those only existed in fiction. Real nobles were terrible, miserable, reprehensible people. After a few visits, we started having little conversations outside of our business transactions. He told me his name, Mel, as well as his sister's, Nellie, and I told him mine. Mel was 17, only a year older than me. Then one day, he invited me outside for a walk.
It's not healthy to stay holed up inside all the time. You've got this beautiful lake right here. What do you say we take a little walk around the shoreline?
I was going to turn him down, but my mouth seemed to disagree with my mind, and the next thing I knew, I was taking a walk with someone for my first time in years. Although width might be something of a stretch, I kept a safe distance from him as we walked. Mel seemed disappointed with my unwillingness to get any closer, but I couldn't bring myself to trust him that much yet. Nonetheless, it was a momentous enough occasion that I felt justified describing it as such. I'm sure I made him uncomfortable on numerous occasions during our walks. To say I acted disagreeably would be an understatement. Any time he closed the gap between us, I stepped a little farther away. Every response I gave was curt, and I repeatedly shot him down whenever he started getting wistful or sentimental. The Morgana of 4 years prior might have been a little softer with him, a little more human. Maybe she would have given him a little smile or a pout instead. But that girl was long gone. I despised the humanity that had once started taking root in me, and I endeavored to be something different again. In one instance, he heard a robin chirping and said, "If I had wings like a bird, maybe I could be free too," to which I responded, "There is not a single creature living in this world that is free." Birds regularly get shot down by hunters or preyed on by larger birds. The idea that they are free is nothing more than man's short-sighted delusion.
Sorry, I guess.
No, I should be apologizing. I wasn't trying to attack you. I simply lack the ability to properly empathize with others. I do not understand people. So please, if I say anything that upsets you or makes you uncomfortable, don't assume it was my intention.
Sure. Maybe you're hiding it, or maybe you just don't know it yet, but I think you've got more empathy than you're letting on. Surely you can't say nothing affects you at all. You are human.
At one point, that was true, though it was perhaps somewhat difficult for others to see. I felt great beauty in the world when I knelt before the gravestones, but such sentiments have long since been lost to me.
So you don't have to be so closed off. I might not be able to do much for you, but I do want to get to know you better. I want to understand you. So if you ever feel like talking about yourself, just know that you've got an eager pair of ears here. Okay?
If there were ever someone who could understand me, if there were ever someone who could understand what I am now, who could empathize with me, who had been through trials as great as mine, they would not be human.
What do you mean?
that you would need to be far removed from any idea of humanity to have a chance at understanding me. Regardless, I do appreciate your kind words.
Sure. So, out of curiosity, do you have anyone really important to you in your life?
Not at the moment.
Does that mean you used to? I'd love to hear about them, if you don't mind.
They're all long dead. 4 years ago, something unpleasant occurred. And as a result of that, I was forced to part ways with the people who taught me that humans have the capability for kindness.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I almost made her British. I'm so sorry, Morgana. I'm so sorry.
Well then, if your sister's condition worsens again, come see me. Farewell.
Hey, maybe we could walk a little slower next time, so we have more time to talk. I want to get to know you better.
I'll consider it.
All right.
So long.
Bye. See you soon. Oh, Mel.
I was conscious of how cold and distant I was being toward him, but I had no interest in changing anything. Not that I even knew how to anymore. I had never known particularly well how to choose the right words, the proper way to act in various circumstances. But what little knowledge I had possessed, I'd long since lost. I assumed, after the things I had said to him, Mel would never ask me on another walk again. But I was wrong. He did the very next time he came for medicine, and every time after that as well.
Hey, so I was thinking, I bet you make a really good singer if you wanted.
A singer?
Yeah, you've got this really pretty voice. I think it'd be nice if you tried using it to sing. I'm sorry, it's not my place to tell you what to do. You hardly talk. Why would I think you'd want to sing?
I'm glad we're on the same page. Never again.
Sorry about that, really. Anyway, I wonder who first came up with the idea to sing. You can brighten someone's day or sour their mood with just the sound of your voice. Kinda amazing, don't you think? It's almost like magic. Oh, and there are battle songs too, for getting soldiers fired up for combat.
Battle? Now there's a word I never expected to hear from you.
I mean, I am a guy. I admire anyone who has the strength to go to battle. I could never, ever do it myself, though. The sight of blood makes me sick, and I barely know which end of a sword you're supposed to grab.
You're a noble, aren't you? What need do you have for knowing how to use a sword?
That's what I used to think, too. But now I think I should have gotten training. I may not have been a soldier, but I needed to be strong. I could have avoided so much if I was. And Nellie wouldn't have to live in such a rundown shack in the middle of nowhere.
As I recall, he once said that he was forced from his house after a dispute over who the rightful heir was. High society sounds like endless fun.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you don't care about any of this.
No, you're fine. I am the one who asked.
Thanks. I want you to know, I really do appreciate it. It's nice to just be able to talk about this stuff to someone.
You're naturally sociable. I'm sure you could find plenty of other people willing to listen.
I don't get into town much, not even to run errands, so I'm still kind of an outsider. You're my only friend right now. I hope that wasn't too presumptuous of me.
Call me whatever you like.
Oh, thank goodness. We should do this more often, really. Talk more, get to know each other better, become better friends.
To what end?
No end, just, having friends is better than being alone. That's all.
I see. I'll be heading back in now. See you again.
Yeah, see you soon, Morgana.
Little by little, his words were getting closer to reaching the old me. Not enough to provoke an actual response, of course. But that wasn't his fault. I locked myself up too deeply. I no longer knew how to express emotions, most especially those that resulted from human warmth. However, I had regained enough of something to feel a sort of nostalgia in my interactions with Mal. And I thought perhaps, with enough time, I could go back to who I had been 4 years prior. But shortly thereafter, he threw all of that into the wind with a single utterance.
I'll take anything at this point to make her better. I'll even take a miracle if I can get one. He said the M word.
He appeared exhausted on that day, much more than usual. His sister's condition had begun to worsen again. That one muttered word set off a spark in my mind. It sent me back in time, well beyond when I was taught humanity 4 years ago, to my very origin. I was the daughter of God. My blood had healing properties. And the instant I remembered that, there was only one course of action I could take. Without a moment's hesitation, I informed him that miracles did exist, that I had been born of saint, and that my blood had miraculous powers. That after leaving the village of my birth, my power had only ever been misused. First by the Lord for his sick banquets, then by me for letting it lay idle for so long. Now was the time for me to correct that. He was a kind-hearted young man who loved his sister. Who deserved this blessing more than them? I told him everything. At first he was surprised, but never once did he accuse me of lying. He listened carefully and intently, taking in every word. And when I finished, he said he believed me. He said he would entrust his sister's care to me. Mel's sister slept upon a simple bed. She was a sweet little girl who looked like she would have been quite spirited if not for her ailment. Both she and her brother had beautiful flaxen hair. They looked as though they had both been yanked from a painting. Seeing them there, I wanted to do everything I could to help them, to ensure their happiness. And I knew I had the ability to do so. No longer would I be the one receiving others' charity. I could be the one giving it again. And so I made a new cut on my mostly healed arm. For the briefest of moments, a flash of him applying ointment had appeared in my mind, but I quickly cast it off. The flaxen-haired girl showed signs of recovering as a result of my miracle. The boy came to my cottage, overjoyed, to thank me. I was extremely proud of myself. I felt like for once I had actually saved someone's life. I had finally been able to use my gift to help someone truly good. After the miracle, though, he stopped referring to me as his friend. Understandably so. No one could think of themselves as equals with someone who performed miracles. Awe, fear, reverence, they were all feelings that came from the same place. An inability to think of me as a human who experienced the world the same way he did. He saw me as abnormal. I had always been fine with that. It was how it was supposed to be. Being different was what I had always wanted, and in some way it was what had kept me going. So seeing him put more and more distance between us shouldn't have bothered me in the slightest. But I continued to offer his sister my blood, no matter how distant he grew. Eventually, he stopped inviting me on walks. But that didn't matter. I would serve my duty and perform miracles regardless. He would simply knock on my cottage door and say,
My sister's fallen ill again. Would you come perform another miracle?
I could hear the apprehension in his voice. No longer did he show me his gentle smile. No longer did we listen to the birds singing together. No longer was I the one being cold and distant, and no longer did he say see you again when we parted ways. Back in my village, when everyone feared and revered me as a saint, it filled me with a childish sense of superiority. But there was no superiority now, only a prickling in the softened shell of my heart. I was no longer the child I had once been. I had changed. I had learned what warmth felt like. My memories of that time were vague and ethereal, but the feelings they had created lived on, deep within me. For a time, I had felt warm familiarity around Mel, which had only made me yearn for him to treat me that way again. I wanted to be able to open up to someone once more, though I never said as much out loud.
Oh, the rain do be raining, though. Let me take a sippy. Oh boy.
Gloomy day after gloomy day passed, and then I received a new visitor. I asked them their business from behind the door, but they hesitated for a few moments before responding. My instincts told me that whoever it wasn't the noble boy. So I waited, perplexed and slightly on edge, for them to say something. And when they finally did, I was left aghast at what I heard.
Are you the witch with the miracle blood?
Why did he sound like the man who had slaughtered the slaves in the carriage, laughing all the while? What was he doing at my cottage? I thought he had wandered off somewhere, never to be seen again. I thought he was out of my life for good. Why? Why did he call me a witch? And how did he know my blood had powers? Had Mel told him? Or maybe his talkative little sister had gone running around blabbing about it. I should have been clearer with them, made absolutely certain they knew to keep their mouths shut. Please leave. It took all my strength to get those 2 words out without my voice shaking. I could hear the screams from 4 years ago, echoing in my mind. I could see the limbs flying, the blood pooling at my feet. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it pulsing in my ears. Please stay away from my home. After all the time I had spent forgetting about everything, closing myself off, finally finding peace. Why did this monster, who reminded me only of senseless violence and death, have to come back into my world? I never wanted to go through anything like that again.
I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little?
I have nothing to spare for a man like you. My blood is only for the sick and needy. So please, go away. Stay away from me. I'm begging you. Get away from this place. You're a murderer. I want nothing to do with you. So please, just go away.
As you say.
Is he gone? Thank heavens. My eyes feel like they're burning. No, Morgana. You have to be strong. You cannot let this get to you. Be strong. You have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. No, stop. Fight it back. I had sworn never to cry again. But the moment fear released its grip on me, everything that had built up came pouring out in a hot stream. Tears soaked my face. I I wiped, and still my hands came back wet. With each passing second, I felt myself reverting into an ordinary, helpless little girl. No, that's what I had always been. My whole life, I had just been putting on airs, when in reality, I wasn't even strong enough to withstand a little fright.
Can I maybe stop spilling water on myself? That would be really dope.
Even with the horrid man gone, I couldn't rest easy. I couldn't be sure if he was gone for good. Maybe he was just waiting for a more opportune moment to target me again. The following day, I took a brief walk with the noble boy, but I couldn't bring myself to talk to him about what had happened. With how much distance he was keeping between us, I doubted he would be willing to do anything to help. For 3 days and 3 nights, I shook in terror, thinking, considering, speculating, wondering. Hardly getting a wink of sleep. I was too anxious to sit still, so I paced in circles around the chair by the fireplace. It's too soon to be sure I'm safe. I can't go outside unless I absolutely must. Not even just to get water from the lake. He could be waiting in the shadows to take my life. I'm not safe here anymore. I shouldn't have said anything about my powers. They've only ever brought me trouble. I should probably find somewhere else to live. But where? How far could I even get on my own? He could be out there waiting for me to open the door. I would need help. Don't be a fool. No one's going to help me. The boy barely even wants to talk to me anymore. All I wanted was a quiet life. Is it him? Did he return? Calm yourself. He knocks harder than that. It's not him. Who's there?
It's me. Oh boy.
Ah. His sister needs more of my blood.
I'm not here about Nellie today. I'm sorry for being so distant lately.
What?
I want to talk things over.
He's finally reconsidered. If he can treat me like a friend again, then maybe I could ask him. I want to talk to you too. I opened the door without a second thought. I let my guard drop, because in my mind, the flaxen-haired boy briefly took the place of the slave man from the brothel. The man who had saved me from the terrible lord offered me his hand, guided me into the light. And here he was again, to set me free. To take me away from this place, take me somewhere new. He had pulled me out of the darkest depths of despair, and here he was again, ready to offer me his hand. A glimmer of hope to cast away the shadows. So I reached out to take it, and my arm went tumbling to the ground, my hope following not far behind.
Take it. That's your share. Should last you long enough. Nothing personal. I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church. She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer.
The Lord? Why him again?
If I brought him the witch with the miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. So don't take it personally. You get to be the sacrifice. To keep her church from collapsing. To keep her world from collapsing. So don't take it personally, witch. Cheers! A saint's blood and good fortune to all! You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin!
No, I'm not a witch. I wasn't born to spend my whole life suffering.
We're gonna keep going, but it just feels bad. About time. There's your witch. Tell me you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood. You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made. Why do you gotta say that, Yukiwasa? Why you gotta do that? I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have killed before, haven't you? Enough yapping. She is alive, yes? Of course. No tears. Now that's a good girl. It simply wouldn't be the same if you cried and blubbered like a lowly slave or a whore. Dignified and saintly, that's what I need you to be. Welcome, witch. You'll be giving your blood to all my people now, not only me.
Is that you?
Oh, do you remember me? What an honor, a truly splendid honor.
How could I ever forget? How could I ever forget? All the pain and humiliation you put me through. How could I ever forget the blood sabbats you so loved to hold? Haven't had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you? You haven't had your fill of my blood?
I'm thrilled to know the great saint remembers the lavish parties I threw for her. I take it they left quite an impression then.
You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you even for a moment.
That's splendid to hear. I'm sure you tried so very hard to cast my memory aside. But you never could you? And you know what that means. That the scars I left all over you run deeper than anything else you've ever experienced. Look at that face, so twisted and hideous. I bet you loathe me. That you'll never be able to forgive me.
I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you with every fiber of my being. For every scar you gave me, I give you a lifetime of hatred. Never. You will never have my forgiveness. This man, the Lord, he destroyed me, mind and body. This man ruined my life.
I see. So I'm the one who ruined your life. But why should that concern me? Your words are as insignificant as the chirps of a dying robin. Scream and shout until your throat goes sore. It doesn't change anything. We'll lock the witch up and proceed as planned.
Oh, Father, God of heaven and earth, my life has become nothing, shattered and empty.
Good day, Lord Barnier. Not hungry. I need some time to rest, so don't bother me. Yes, sir. And make sure everyone knows they are to stay away from my room. By your command, my lord. Why was she the lakeside witch? How could this happen? There must be something I can do. Some way to fix this. No, don't fool yourself, you damned buffoon. There's no fixing that. Her arm's been cut off. Her mind broken. If only that Far Eastern dog hadn't been such a damned idiot. Then she might actually be in proper shape. Fucking fuck! I'm the one who gave the order. The only one to blame for this is me. I can spend all goddamn day regretting it, but there's no taking back what's already been done. God damn it. What the hell am I supposed to do? What can I do? I could set her free. And a doctor, yes. Find a good doctor. There's no getting her arm back, but he could at least patch her up. This is all my fault. So I'll do right by her, look after her myself. Make sure she's taken care of for the rest of her life. Are you out of your mind, Jacopo? Why would she ever want to stay with you? Damn it, I can't even stay focused. Ugh. What is there to think about, boy? You already know what you must do. Get out of here, spirit! When will you learn your damn lesson and just stay dead, damn it? The last thing I need is a pathetic ghost constantly sticking its nose in my business. Strong words from the man who can't even keep in his head the presence of said pathetic ghost. The answer's plain as day, boy. You proceed exactly as planned. Make witch's blood into a miracle elixir and distribute it at the church. You'll take in tithes, as well as winning the people's favor for supporting their new beloved church. It's a fine scheme. I'm impressed you came up with it, boy. Silence! That was before I knew she was the witch. What does it matter? The girl's going to be dead soon regardless. Progress and growth, it always comes at a price. You need simply accept that the price has already been paid. Tell me, is the girl worth throwing the entire venture aside, knowing you'll lose all the goodwill you made to gain from it, and more? She's Morgana's. She's mine. A child could tell you which has more value. You bear the weight of this entire land, boy. Don't try to cast that aside because you killed one little girl. She isn't dead. She's still. Surely you can't call that living. She's not. She is And you killed her. I did not. There was no turning back. Why are you so upset about this, boy? Countless slaves have perished at your command. You had the slum rats who had tried to bite you slaughtered. And only now are you concerned about another's life? Surely you're not still clinging to your naive sentimentality, are you? Oh, but she's different from all those disposable sacks of flesh. She's dear to me. We have so many wonderful memories together. I love her. Enough. You've come too far to step down from the throne. No matter how much you may have cared for the girl before, it's out of the question now. You cannot have her. When a nobleman marries, it's for political purposes. Be it connections, resources, appearances, always something to gain. Taking a nameless peasant girl will make you the laughingstock of the land. So lock her up and drain her until there's nothing left. Shut your damn mouth, accursed spirit! You don't have any idea what you're talking about. You don't know the first thing about how I feel about her. The things we've shared. Wait a minute. What's going on? How the hell do you know any of that? Took you long enough, boy. How did I not realize? You were never the kind of man to speak of progress and growth. That I wasn't. What the hell? What are you? I've already told you. I am the curse known as the Lord of the land. Or if you need me to put it in simple terms for your simple mind, I am your sickness. You're out of your mind. I am not sick. I am not the one who's out of his mind, boy. This is a world of madness and disease, but not of spirits. The throne drives all who sit upon it to madness. Power or sanity, a man can only have one. And all the faster will his grasp on his mind slip when he has no one at his side to shield him from his enemies. I am not Jean-Francois Bardier, and there is no way for you to banish this spirit. Your mind is broken, on the verge of collapse, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. No. No. You're lying! My mind is not broken. I am perfectly sane. There's not a grain of madness in me. Tell me, Jacopo, is this the power you always sought? And is this what you spent night and day fighting to achieve? How are you? I thought you always wanted power in order to protect those you cared most about. But here you are, using that power to destroy their lives. Or is power the only thing you care about protecting anymore? Shut up. Is that what I took up the blade for all those years ago? Enough. You don't have any place criticizing me. You're just a stupid child with his head in the clouds, who thinks he can become some kind of hero. If you hadn't been so foolish, I wouldn't be in this place at all. You're right. We chose the wrong path. And there's no way for us to get back on the right one any longer. This wasn't what I had wanted at all. The future I had dreamed of. The outcome I had hoped for. But who did I even have to explain that to? And who would even understand if I tried? There were walls as high as the eye could see on both sides of this path. Forward was the only way I could go. I had killed my old friends and comrades, lost everything along the way, but still I had marched on. Because that was all I could do. And now, power was the only thing that remained in my hands. So I would make a despot of myself, bury all my feelings for her, and continue my march straight into hell. I had no other choice. I hate it here. It only gets worse. It only gets worse. It only gets worse. It only gets worse. Talk about feeling insane. Woo! Anyway, on that note, this is gonna be where we stop today. Next week we'll finish Requiem for Innocence, and Fragments, hopefully, will unlock itself. Jesus Christ. This game's a lot. Particularly Requiem for Innocence is like a lot. Please be well. Mental illness is no joke. It's no fucking joke. He just needs modern medicine and therapy. I can fix him. But seriously, find a way to get yourself the help you need. Everyone needs help. It's okay. Really. It is okay to need help. Everyone does. And you're probably lying to yourself if you think that you don't need help. If you think I don't need help, yeah, then you're definitely lying to yourself. On that note, yeah. Thank you for watching. If you made it through this, congrats. It's fucking awful. Everything's awful. Yeah, next week, same time. Actually, it might be an hour earlier. But next week, we finish Requiem for Innocence. It's gonna be emotional. We're gonna take a little break in the middle to, like, let ourselves breathe, you know? And then we'll get in there and finish it up. And then this upcoming Sunday, Grandia 2, is also going to be really emotional. We're just going to have an emotional week, all right? There's nothing wrong with that. Just let's be healthy about it, okay? So take care of yourself, be safe, and I will see you when I see you.